back. It's Tuesday.
I know. I'm way excited.
The weeks fly by so fast.
I know, they do. And then I get to the point where it's like, oh my heck, I have this to do and that to do and that to do.
I have to finish reading this and look at this and do this and do that and do this.
I know. But, I don't care. It's fun.
Right. It is a lot of fun.
I know.
It's totally an excuse to play on the computer and, avoid everybody. You didn't hear that,
Have
right?
some downtime.
Right.
Stuff like that.
Exactly.
Stuff like that. So, Kathy, last week, let's just do a recap. Just for people that didn't join us and would like to.
Right.
Just kind of peruse our archives and look at past shows. What was it last week?
We've had so many things going on that my brain just went...
Your brain just went...
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I got Blake.
Uh-huh.
And then before that we had Proof. This is how far my brain's out.
Well, you weren't even here for Proof.
No, I wasn't, but they're in my head.
Okay. Well, then let me give you a hint.
Right. Oh, I remember. Denise and Kathleen.
Denise and Kathy. I know, I was going to say, okay, the name rhymes with your name.
It rhymes. It's the same.
Well,
Oh,
it was supposed to be a hint, not a giveaway.
Right. I remember.
Technicalities.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
It's the weather. It has to be. It's completely.
Say what you gotta say.
It's the weather. I blame you, Mother Nature.
You will be struck down. I'm just saying.
There was lightning.
Was there?
Yeah.
Whew.
Yeah.
Awesome. Alrighty. So you got something in the mail, didn't you?
I did, and I didn't bring it, but it's Blake Heitzman's book, A Far Traveler, the First Alien. And so now I can curl up with the book rather than look at it on my laptop. I really need to get with the times and get a Kindle or something.
Whatever. Nothing beats the smell
but
of pages.
Nothing. That's exactly it. Nothing beats it. And guess what? He said, he's our fan. We have a fan.
I love fans.
The little things in life that make us happy.
We need to get something to send to our fans.
Right. That would be fun.
I know.
Open up an envelope with a whole bunch of sparklies coming out. We're not really sparkly people. But
it'd be like one of those pop things that you get for New Year's. Pop! You open up the envelope and it's like, ta-da!
Well, it fits us. We're not sparkly people.
Well, I'm glad he didn't say #1 fan, because then it'd be like, do-do-do-do.
I'd like it, though. I
know, but... Misery. You've seen it 16 million times.
Misery. That's very, very true. So, yes, his book is actually... I've gotten more and more into it. Mm-hmm. And it's really, really good. You have Native American rituals with their symbolism and what it means. And, yeah, this alien fell on Earth, came to Earth 3,000 years ago. And this guy, Matt, is supposed to find out what happened to this alien that came to Earth.
Well, that's awesome.
It's a mix of, past to future to present.
Yeah, right. I always sit there and I think, look at these authors. And then you say, oh, it's fiction, nonfiction, whatever. The case is about authors.
Right.
Because they're brilliant. They know their stuff. And, they really research it in, real life.
Right. Oh, yeah. Even if it's fiction, there's still truths to their fiction in their research. Mm-hmm.
Well, if you had an error, somebody's going to email you or...
and that is why I don't write.
or something, and it'd be something as simple as a comma or something.
Right, and that's why I don't write.
But I find myself doing that too. I'm like, ooh, there's a comma that needs to go there. I'm just saying.
I just throw commas wherever, this. I would pause when I say this, so comma.
Kathy's favorite punctuation is
comma,
a comma.
And dot. I don't write for a reason.
But it is fascinating.
It is. Our texts are great.
Full of character and,
explanation marks and questions with, explanation marks. It's great.
Right. It's really great. But you know what I got?
I know what you got. I'm excited.
I know. I've got Grant Wilson's game, Dwarven Miner.
Right.
In the mail.
So excited to see that.
I would have it, but I believe my kids have stolen it, and they are playing it right now.
Stinkers.
I know.
We'll get it after the break.
We'll get it after the break, and I'll show you.
Right. Maybe we'll play with some pieces and be battling.
I know. Is anybody in for a friendly game of Dwarven Miner?
I am.
You are? Okay.
Yeah. We're
good deal.
Right. We can do that.
That's a good deal. Anyways, I'm excited about it. It's cute.
Me too. I haven't got my publication picture, one of a kind.
Well, those are supposed to be coming later.
I thought they were coming first, but anyway.
I hope not, because I didn't get mine either.
Oh, didn't you?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just the game.
Just the games. Cool beans.
Just the game.
That's exciting.
I know.
We're going to play it.
I know.
We're going to be Dwarven Minor Geeks. Something else to add to
our little resume. Yeah. What do? You stick it and lick it? Or lick it and stick it?
Lick it and stick it.
That's the one.
That's right.
That's the one. So, this month, we've kind of steered away from the ghost stuff.
Right.
You know?
They're related in ways.
They're related in ways, I believe. But, so last week we had Kathleen Martin and Denise Stoner.
Right.
Amazing women.
Oh my gosh.
So, just, on all levels, they're brilliant. They're personable.
Personable. That's a big one.
Yeah.
They're really, they know their stuff. And having been abducted, Denise having been abducted herself, she wasn't afraid to really talk about it, but it left a lot up to the imagination because she doesn't know exactly what happened the whole time. I mean, she did have hypnotherapy, but I mean, what happened from the time that she was taken off the road and planted in the desert somewhere? 40 miles out of range.
And that's just one instance. That's just one.
Well, there's witnesses to these abductions. It's not just her; it's her family, all at the same time.
I know.
What do you do?
Well, I don't know. Make friends and hope they have mercy on you. That's what I say. No probing today, please.
No slime in the mouth.
Oh, yeah. I don't even want to go there. That made me want to throw up every time I saw it.
It was bad. But she said something that really hit a chord with me because she said the same thing Anna did when she wrote in that book. She said that they are here to not really harm us, but they're tired of our own turmoil we humans cause for ourselves. It sends up, in a way, like Anna Martin said, it sends up the negative energy and it's like destroying them and they hate it. And then when Denise said the same thing, they don't like the turmoil that we cause for ourselves. We need to be better people as a whole humankind, not just, one person can make a difference. It's everybody needs to be, you okay, Kim? And there goes his laptop.
On the ground.
On the ground. Face down. So, as a whole humankind, we need to be better people. Not only better to other people, but better to ourselves. And that really struck a chord with me.
Yeah.
Because I'd like to think I'm good to other people, but I'm not necessarily good to myself. You're your own worst critic.
Well, as for me, I'm going to stick with the cowboy and aliens theory. They're after me old,
Yeah, that's what they want you.
Okay, don't be offended. I'm just kidding. I really... You don't know. I mean, we've got some precious minerals and gems out there.
We do.
I know.
We do.
Okay, let's get on with it because
Kim
really
hasn't given us a stink eye yet.
That's because he's doing other stuff.
I know. He's a busy boy.
Yes, he is. So, who do we have today, Cassie?
Nick Redfern.
What?
The one and only. I have had so many comments. Oh my gosh, you got the Nick Redfern. You got the. We're like, yes.
Okay, I'm gonna just kind of introduce Nick. Nick, how are you?
Hey, Cammy. Hey, Kathy.
Hello.
So how do you like the Nick Redfern? I mean, is that awesome or what?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been called that before.
Really?
Wow. Well, our fan Philip is like a great admirer of you.
Yes, he is.
What?
Yeah, he went all haywire when he found out that you were coming on.
I'm just thinking of me. I'm just a regular guy, I watch TV, drink beer, listen to punk rock, and that's it.
Yeah, but you have a great mind and so many books, and you research a lot. There's more to you than punk rock and beer. Right.
Although those are great qualities.
Those are great qualities. I'm not knocking them at all, but there's more to you than that.
Right.
Just that. Well, yeah, I'm interested in a lot of sort of weird mysteries, and how I got interested involved is when I was about 5 or 6 years old. Mum and Dad took me on a week's holiday to Scotland, and if you're going to go to Scotland, you've got to go to Loch Ness.
Of course.
Oh my gosh,
although
yes.
I was only a little kid at the time, I still got a few memories of my dad telling me this story about, there was supposedly a colony of monsters or surviving dinosaurs, like plesiosaurs, deep in Loch Ness. And I suppose at that age, you kind of view monsters as kind of like monsters in the closet or under the bed, that sort of thing.
Right.
Exciting, creepy mystery. Then as I got older, sort of into my early teens, I began reading books on the subject, and and took it from there, really, and combined the interest in cryptozoology, which is the study of unknown animals, with the other big interest I had, which is UFOs. And how I got involved in writing and researching was that when I finished school, I wasn't really the best student, put it that way.
Well, I find that the greatest minds aren't the best students.
Right.
I mean, you just, for real, that's what I think.
You know, I was more interested in just hanging out with my friends and, you know, picking up a girl at the Christmas disco for the last time.
Christmas disco.
And, well, that's what we used to call them in England. They still call them discos in England, you know.
Well, we're going to start calling it disco.
Right.
Everything is going to be a disco.
Right, the local church disco.
No, it wouldn't be suitable for the church discos at our school. But,
you know, school, church, community, whatever.
Oh, no, call it what you will. It's still a disco.
It's still a disco.
So anyway, my education wasn't the best education I could have had. And when I left school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And, you know, I had no college, no university, nothing. And then it was a case of, well, you know, you're out of school now, you're in the real world. And it just so happened that a job was advertised in the town where I was living at the time. This was like, I was maybe 17, I think. And they were looking to train somebody straight out of school to work on a local magazine. And I'm sure you get them there, you know, it's like these weekly or monthly what's on guides to, you know, what's on in the area. Like restaurants, theatres, cinemas, that sort of thing.
We have one of those guys on the show. His name is Larry.
Yeah, Larry.
Yeah, Larry. So, and you're very valuable, so it's a great place to start.
Right.
Yeah, and what I did, I worked on all the music section of the magazine, so I was like interviewing bands and going to concerts and reviewing them, and getting paid to do it. You
How
know?
fun!
And it was like,
That'd be awesome.
it was, you know, it was good fun. It didn't seem like a real job where you've got some horrible boss telling you what to do all day. You know?
Right.
And I did that for about 2 years, and decided, well, you know, I don't think I'll get a quote proper job after all. You know, although I did have a couple of proper jobs. I mean, writing is quite kind of it can be a bit of a precarious job at times. You know, everybody thinks if you write a book, you're sort of living in Beverly Hills and driving a Ferrari, when it's not really like that.
Not
you know?
exactly.
And so there have been times, you know, when I've fallen back on just regular jobs. I used to do a lot of van driving and forklift work and that sort of stuff. And so I've still got my forklift license if I ever need to fall back on that one. But I also still did like a lot of freelance writing. And then when I got to about 27, 28, I began doing it more seriously with a view to doing it full-time period. And so that's what I did. And I do a lot of, today I do the books, obviously, and magazine articles and website stuff on paranormal things. But I also do a lot of regular journalism for your websites and magazines that have nothing to do with the paranormal. I do a lot of ghostwriting. I ghostwrote a book a few years ago all about people who got injured by asbestos, like in the workplace, that sort of thing. So,
Mesothelioma.
And this was like a legal handbook I had to research and write for like a company. So I do a lot of that, and I'm also actually a job with a few nice perks. I work as a feature writer for Penthouse, which is quite fun.
Oh, well then.
Do you care to share a paragraph?
It's always good to meet the staff, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Right. You're like, I need to be invited to one of your parties, please.
you know, get your foot in however, right?
So people probably know me most from the paranormal writing, obviously, but, you know, like any job, when it's your, you know, it's a passion, and I love what I do, but it's still a job, and when it's your job, you know, you have to take on sometimes work that's more interesting than others, and sometimes, you know, if I'm doing like a technical writing, I do a lot of stuff like how to diagnose a problem with the clutch on the car or the gears and things like that. You know, like how-to guides, and they're not always that interesting, but you know that's part of a writing job. You know, you go where the work is.
Right. So you're like a jack of all trades.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's
you can
so
put a clutch together while driving a forklift. You can do all sorts of stuff.
Master multitasker.
Right. And if you happen to spot a UFO, you can take down the information as well.
Yeah, I can do all that. I can't. I wish I was like ambidextrous, but I'm not. But I can sort of. I guess I could sort of tell somebody how how the clutch works at the same time as saying trying to take a photograph with a UFO hovering overhead with the other. I guess.
See? Multitasking.
You're like, here's a screwdriver. Click.
Not that that's actually happened, but I guess I could try.
Right. Well, you might as well try it and add it to your resume. Lick and stick.
I know.
Right. Just stick
Well,
it to
that's
your resume.
really cool. I mean, that it shows a whole new side of Nick. The Nick.
Right.
The Nick.
The Nick Redfern.
Well,
people don't get to see.
That's awesome. I just love authors. I just have to say it.
Well, me too. Brilliant minds, out-of-the-box thinkers, different points of view.
Well, I think it's it's like any job, I think we all have our talents, I mean,
right.
Although I write about cars and engines and electrical stuff, a lot of it is research-based, but you've got somebody who can just open the hood of the car and say, yeah, this is a problem. Somebody else can be really good at, like motivational, that kind of thing, a motivational speaker, or somebody who works in I don't know, public relations, they're good at doing that, or somebody's an artist. We've all got our own skills, and I think the important thing is to recognise them and use them if you can. There's nothing worse. I mean, I know we don't always have a choice, particularly in today's economy, but if you have a choice of what job you can do, it's always best really to get something that you really enjoy,
right?
And where you have a talent. And I don't care what anybody says. Everybody has something that they can do really well. It's just a matter of trying to apply that and earn a living from it,
Right. Not everybody can uncover government conspiracies and stuff. I mean,
oh my gosh, I love that.
But then again, not everybody is good at, I don't know, fixing a roof or fixing the plumbing when that goes out. If the electric goes out here, if I tried to fix it, I'd blow up the entire apartment. I wouldn't dare touch it.
Right.
I'd probably try.
Yeah, it's like, unless it's changing the fuses or changing a plug, I've got to go downstairs to the office and say, hey, this has gone out. But there are people who, that's their talent, and that's good, I mean, I'm not one of these. The one thing I have against authors, which might sound a bit strange being an author, is that you often find there are a lot of people in the field who get a bit pompous. They're like, oh, I'm an author, and they kind of think of themselves as the elite. I just look at it that I know I can write and write pretty well, but equally I know that there are somebody else who's really good at, like I said, fixing a car, somebody else who's really good, at plumbing, and somebody else who's really good at this. We're all, we shouldn't be getting above ourselves and all high and mighty. We've all got talents in different areas,
Right. I like that level-headedness.
I do too, but I'm going to still call you the Nick Redfern.
Yeah, I shall demand that from now on.
That's right. See?
Who am I? Who am I saying?
The Nick Redfern.
I shall crack that whip.
That's awesome.
It is. It's awesome. So, yeah, I'll just call you the Nick Redfern. We'll just do that. So I've got...
No, I'm kidding. You don't have to.
Oh, geez. So I've got in my hand, Nick, your book, Monster Files. And I'm looking at it. I love this book. Love it.
Thanks.
I love it. And you know what I love most about it? Is the intro.
The
The pictures! No, just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I opened up the book. First thing, I'm reading the introduction.
Right.
And it's nothing but question after question after question after question. There's no answers.
I love that.
I'm like, that's style right there.
It is.
That's sort of a little trick that, most authors have to learn to do, is that what you have to do really, if you're writing a book, there's a lot of sort of subtle things behind the scenes, like you've got to get the reader interested from the first page.
Mm-hmm.
So you've really got to sort of throw them into it, where you start with either like a really exciting sort of roller coaster story, or you ask a bunch of questions like I did with that one, where people think, well, that's interesting, I wonder what the answer is. So you've got to kind of reel them in from page one, and there's different ways of doing that, I guess.
Yeah, it was 3 pages of cliffhangers. I was like, I can't read it fast enough.
Right. Well, that's kind of who we are. We like questions and possible answers to questions, and that stuff just fascinates us. So it's right up our alley. And conspiracy theories, that's me.
That's Kathy. She loves it.
I mean,
love them.
I don't sort of write much at all about, sort of government, straightforward conspiracies.
Well, it's a
they're all
roundabout.
sort of paranormal conspiracies, like, what happened at Roswell or what's going on at Area 51. I never get involved really with things like, some political story in the conspiracy in the news, because I'm not really interested. And there are other people who have done years in those fields, and, it kind of, there's just no point, I'm intrigued by paranormal stuff.
It can go in circles with the conspiracy theories, and it can get really overwhelming.
Well, I know, and scary if you really start reading and reading. You're like,
my brother is a big 9/11 conspiracist, and I read what some publisher put out, somebody's thought processes went really off the wall, and it made me think. I thought, crap, I shouldn't think like this. It's not the government doing this, but...
Well, here's the thing, you just never know.
Well, that's exactly it. I would like to think that the government doesn't do that, but I know they do some pretty shitty things.
Well, but also, on the same note, if we're going to talk about conspiracy stuff, a lot of times there's reasons for it.
Right.
Like, for example, Bigfoot. Could we really handle Bigfoot?
Yes. I can handle Bigfoot better than I can handle aliens walking around with us.
Really?
Oh, yes.
And Miss Kathy, who loves fish so much, you could handle the Loch Ness Monster?
I will not go in the water if there's sharks and fish end up coming up on top of the water and chasing me. It's happened. And I don't care for the water, but I do love Loch Ness. I am absolutely fascinated. I think that was my first fascination when I was a kid, was Loch Ness.
Cool.
That and murder mysteries.
Wow. You guys have something in common then.
There you go.
That's really cool.
So I just Loch Ness, and then it grew from there. You got the Christmas stories with the abominable snowman. The abdominal snowman. He has a really big belly.
He's got like a 12-pack,
And if
I might have to blog that tomorrow.
Do it. From the words of Kathy, the abdominal snowman, the abominable snowman. He's in the Christmas stories. And it just that and murder mysteries and just crimes and stuff like that. Not committing them, but reading about them and knowing about them.
Lies.
If we go to jail, you're getting shamed.
I know. Jeez, why didn't you know I'd take you with me, though?
Well, it's a pact.
I know.
So, I've always had that in me. And then ghosts from when I was 3 and had my first sighting,
Well, I was actually talking about the Loch Ness Monster and things like that with a friend the other day. And we were talking about how, I'm a new scuba diver, right?
Right.
That stuff gets murky. I mean, you can't
gross,
see, 6 feet in front of you.
That's why I only go to clear waters and stand on top of the boat.
Yeah, and I mean...
Because there's sharks below the boat.
And there are so many areas that's just, we haven't been.
Right.
Say, for example, wherever the Loch Ness is. Say there's a cavern or something that hasn't been discovered that you could just pass up.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's
Loch Ness itself is, it's a large lake. Loch is just a Scottish word meaning lake.
Right.
And it's about 22 miles long, about a mile wide, and about 700 feet deep. And when you go down, literally only about 2 feet, you cannot see more than about 2 feet in front of you. It's black. The water is literally black. And it's like that throughout. It's not clear, nice water. It's choppy, big waves and just dense. And the reason it's like that is because Loch Ness is surrounded by very steep hills, and the dirt is it's just literally black. And because it rains so much in England and Scotland, over the centuries and the thousands of years, all this black dirt just gets washed into the lake, into the loch. And over time, it collects, and that's why the water's so dark. And so, sometimes when people do go swimming in it, you kind of get an eerie feeling because you just don't know what's swimming around by your feet,
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the reason I don't go in the ocean. Sharks come up on shore to eat you.
Well, there was one that was like a fish, and it was just like a little trout, but it was following my flipper. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this like shark color? Because Yikes!
I tell you what, I had a fish jump up on top of the water and swim sideways to come to the shore and it had teeth.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do. Mm-mm.
Yeah, it's weird. It's definitely weird being underwater. What was that?
I was once by a fish and it jumped out of the water and hit me straight on the side of the face.
See, it happens. I am not the only one. Were you called fish bait after that? Because I was.
Luckily, it's only a small fish, but it hurt.
You know it does. I was hit in the head with like a fish in the tuna family. It's been like hit me. We were out diving at this. We have this aquarium. It's like a natural hot springs aquarium type thing here, where it's salt water, and so they have like sharks and fish of all kinds in there. I don't know. It was so murky that I couldn't see. But they did this thing where they would throw some food in the water, and the kids were snorkeling, and Kim and I were scuba diving, and so they throw food in, and then right in front of your face you can see them. And he threw food in really, really close to us, and it swam up, and it hit both me and Megan in the head with its tail, and we're like, ow! And it does hurt, Nick. You're right.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, I was called fish bait for a long time after the fish came up on top of the water and swam to me to the shore.
Mm-hmm.
I was fish bait. Everybody wanted to take me fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't going to happen. I don't mind fishing. I'm just not going to eat it. But anyway,
back to Loch Ness.
Right, Loch Ness. I'm fascinated with Loch Ness, and actually here in Utah we have what's called the Bear Lake monster.
Oh, yeah.
And actually, Ozzy Osbourne's son, what's his name? Right, well, Ozzy Osbourne's son had a show, it was called Haunted Highway, and he came out to Utah, and not only did that, but he did Skinwalker Ranch as well. Yeah, he did about people changing from person to animal. But they also did the Bear Lake monster, which until then I had never heard of. I did not know Utah had its own little lake monster.
Well, you go and say monster in the lake, and, we could say it of the, irrigation ditch down the street.
There's a lot of crazy things in there. I'm not going to go in there. You can scuba dive in there.
Well, fish are weird creatures, don't you think, Nick?
Well, yeah, there's lots of different types of fish, a lot of people don't realise that eels are actually fish, and many of them are very different. That's one of the questions asked about the Loch Ness monster. What is it? Is it some sort of fish? A lot of people think, or like to think, that it's a plesiosaur, which is this giant marine reptile that lived at the same time as the dinosaurs. But the problem is with the plesiosaur. Well, there are actually three problems with plesiosaurs. One is that a lot of studies have been done on the known population of fish in the loch, like trout, salmon, and fish like that. And if you've got to have a colony of, say, 15 or 20 plesiosaurs, which were flesh eaters, in the loch, they grow to the size of almost like a school bus. You would have to have a massive amount of fish to feed these creatures every day if you've got a colony of them, because there's obviously not just going to be one. And a lot of dispute as to whether there's enough food. Now, plesiosaurs, another thing is they lived in the ocean, which is salt water. Loch Ness is fresh water. And although there are a few animals which can cross between the two, like crocodiles, you can have salt water and freshwater crocodiles, there aren't many. So that's a problem. And the third issue is that, like us, plesiosaurs breathed oxygen through the air. Fish take oxygen in through their gills in the water. But, it's like if we're swimming, if you haven't got a snorkel, you've got to keep coming up for air. Well, plesiosaurs had to do that. And there aren't enough sightings per year of the Loch Ness monsters where, these things would be popping up every 2 minutes for air,
So we'll have to rule that out.
Yeah, and if there were 20 or 30 or 15 of them, you'd be seeing them all over the place.
Right.
But there are literally only about 6 or 7 sightings a year. And that would tend to suggest that whatever the Loch Ness monsters are, they don't need to surface to breathe. So in that case, they're not probably plesiosaurs. They must be some sort of giant fish. But when you talk about the long neck, then that sort of takes it away from a regular type of fish. So it may be that it's an animal that science has never classified. We just literally have no idea what it is because one's never ever been caught,
Right. Well, and there's also, bones would generally come to surface if one had died. But there's also the animals, over time, they either adapt or die.
Yeah.
And so there's a possibility it could have adapted.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing is when people say, why don't we find a body? Well, if these creatures live in the loch and they spend a lot of time in the lower depths, as I said, it's like 700 feet deep. They spend most of their time down there and they die, they're going to sink to the bottom.
Right.
And then nature has a way of dealing with animals when they die. What happens is that the smaller animals feed on them.
Right.
That's the whole, what's called the food chain. And so the chances of finding one are really slim because they're going to live and die in the sea, in the loch, and they're going to get eaten. The bodies are going to get eaten or just decay at the bottom. And most of us, we don't have the ability to spend 2 weeks on the bottom of Loch Ness in a mini submarine,
That would be fun. I could do a submarine.
And it's true.
But I mean, the average person just can't do that,
Right.
So all these factors come into play as to why we never catch one, because it's such a difficult environment to research in and understanding what these creatures are as well, particularly if they hardly ever need to surface,
Well, which makes it ideal for the animal, because it's not an ideal environment for us to go and swim in black muck.
No, and it's pretty cold as well, It's you'd freeze. Well, you wouldn't freeze to death, but I mean, you need like an insulated diver suit to go in there. If you go in and just like beach shorts or something, you'll quickly come out again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
That water
I mean,
gets cold.
speaking about Loch Ness and just kind of going along the same lines, sea serpents.
Right.
Sea serpents. I mean, if you think about the ocean, it's huge, and there's parts that are very deep, like deeper than we can go.
Oh gosh, yeah. Yeah, well, like on Shark Week, just recently, they think it's the megalodon. They shot it, and it went down